What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 3 of our Tottenham Hotspur Let's Play here in Football Manager 2017. And today it is the Champions League game against Juventus. We're at home again, where we have got some really good results over the course of this season thus far. Of course, still very early days. Since the last episode, just a few games to tell you guys about. We had one EFL game and one game in the league. The EFL game against West Ham was a unconvincing 3-2 win. As you can see here, Berahino grabbing a 107th minute goal in extra time, which saw us walk away victors. But to be honest, it was a performance marred by the fact that we had such a great first half performance and threw things away from 2 goals up. It is perhaps worth noting that with our team here, we were rotating the team fairly heavily. We had a few players who haven't really played for us that much, backup players playing in this game just for the sakes of fitness. The EFL Cup, of course, a trophy not highly sought after by the board, nor myself if I'm honest. It's a bit of a tin pot trophy as far as we're concerned. I rotated my team fairly heavily. Perhaps that played a little bit into West Ham's hands. It is perhaps worth noting as well the fact that Wanyama and Correa both came out of injuries after this game. As you can see, Wanyama out with a twisted knee, missed the last few weeks worth of training, back in not too long however, and Correa on the other hand, the Argentine, out of a back strain for 2 to 3 weeks. So that was a little bit of a shame. It forced a few subs early on. It meant that some players perhaps didn't get the rest I was hoping they were going to get, but we did come out on top, and I guess that is the important thing. The next game we had was away from home. It was at the Stadium of Light, and it was an embarrassing defeat, if I'm honest, against Sunderland, a high-flying Sunderland as well at that. It was our first defeat in the league, and to be honest, I didn't really see it coming in this tie. In terms of our team, there was a degree of rotation. Players like Thiago Maia featuring in the first team of play, who I really brought in to be a backup this year initially. And a few other players like Ericsson absent from the team, simply because the run of fixtures has meant that we have got a lack of fitness in the squad, and so we are having to fully flex kind of the rotation side of things. And, well, with the exception of this result, it's not been too bad thus far. Of course, only the 2 games, however. So today we go into our game against Juventus. It's at home. It's a big game for us, of course, at home already this season. We've got a 5-3 win against Chelsea and a 2-1 win against Man City. In terms of our team for today's game, fitness isn't too bad. As you can see, I've been resting my players. This is something I encourage you to do, particularly if you've got midweek games and you don't want to rotate the team too much. It's simply to shift-click. You can select all your players and then just training and rest. Give them a day or 2 off. It does help their condition recoup that little bit quicker. And as you can see here, for the most part, we've got a fairly fit squad. So anyway, in terms of changes to today's team, there is one, and that is the fact that Moussa Dembele misses out. He's actually out injured at the moment with a damaged spine, out for between 6 and 7 weeks. So we're talking about a month and a half here. He's had an okay start to the season. As you can see, a 7.2 rating in the game against FC Porto, despite giving away a penalty and being sent off. In the Premier League, he's only played the 1 game, and he did get a 7.5 rating in that game too, so he will be missed for us. As a result, a bit of a shake-up. We actually bring in Berahino to play, but it is going to see the emergence of Dele Alli as a defensive deep-line playmaker for us. It's a role he's very much capable of playing, the young Englishman, only 20 years old, and to be honest, so far this season, he's been a little bit underwhelming when we've tried him slightly higher up the pitch. So I'm hoping that in playing him in his kind of perhaps preferred role and a role that better suits him, that might help us just a little bit, because we are expecting a little bit more from Dele Alli, if we're honest. As I said, that does mean Berahino comes into the centre attacking mid position. It's a role that he can fulfil fairly well, to be honest. If we just have a quick look here, you can see, with the exception of perhaps the defensive mental attributes of positioning and vision, he's a very good player for this role. Perhaps not perfect, but he can certainly slot in and do a job. And given his goal-scoring form, having got 4 goals in 3 starts, I do think it's worth giving him a punt today. You can see in the league, he's got 3 goals in 2 starts and 3 appearances on off the bench. A 7.04 average rating. However, in the Champions League against Porto, he was a little bit underwhelming, I think it's fair to say. Of course, with this game, we were missing Harry Kane, our big goal scorer. He did come on off the bench, but his condition was a problem and he never really got into the game from the early stages. So anyway, let's get into today's game against Juventus. In terms of just other team news, there really isn't that much going on. As you can see here, we've got those few injuries which I already mentioned, to the likes of Correa, Wanyama and Dembele. That's caused a little bit of a strain in the midfield department, but regardless, despite the kind of quality these players possess, we have players very capable of kind of slotting in and doing us a job elsewhere on the pitch. So yeah, let's get into today's game, hoping that Harry Kane can have another performance to remember. He always seems to turn up big for us when it matters, and well, we're kind of going to need another performance from him today. Looking at the Juventus predicted lineup, they're going to start with Higuain and Dybala up front. Of course, the dual Argentine duo. Higuain, an absolutely outstanding striker in Football Manager this year, and Dybala, not too bad either. Only 22 years old, definitely one of the best young players in the game by quite some margin. But as you can see here, Juventus predicted to play a kind of typical Italian, I guess you could say 5 at the back or 3 at the back, where you have the 2 wing backs in this instance in Lichtsteiner and I don't know who it was. Who was the other player? It was Alexandro. So they've got their wing backs. They're going to be pushing on forward, and they're very much going to be relying on their back 3 here to do a defensive job for them, assuming, of course, this is how they line up. Regardless of that, we are going to remain undeterred. We are going to stick with the system that served us well so far. Hopefully, Vertonghen and Alderweireld can have good performances today. Of course, Vertonghen did have that pretty bad mistake against Chelsea. Since then, he has put that behind him with some fairly decent performances. Obviously, squad condition is very good, but going into this game, there is certainly a degree of pressure on us. This is, of course, a game at home against Juventus, the top seeds in our group. And it's pretty important, I guess, to remember the fact that we did lose against FC Porto away in our opening game of the tournament. Anyway, looking at their team here, they've got Sami Khedira at the back 4. They've got Chiellini, Bonucci, Barzagli and Buffon in goal. In midfield, they've got Sturaro and Pjanic. So that's going to be tricky to deal with, but hopefully we can give a good performance. Our team, I'm still not kind of shying too far away from what I started with, really. I'm still relatively happy with the system that we're playing. Of course, there's only been the 2 games since the last episode, but this is a massive game for us for the reasons I already outlined. And really, you kind of look at our team, we're going to be looking at the likes of Christian Eriksen, Berahino and Kane for goals. It is an area where perhaps we've not necessarily struggled for goals, but we have become very heavily reliant on our more attacking players to do that. I'm hoping that players like Lamela, Dele Alli, those midfielders who do push on a little bit can start to contribute in that regard. But anyway, we've got the handshake here. You can see my beautiful green suit. Let's get on to the classic, of course. For this, we'll have the behind goal low as our replay angle, as we did last time. And yeah, hopefully we can have another memorable live com here at White Hart Lane. A big game for us. A lot of pressure on our shoulders, but I'm confident the players can give a good performance here. And well, we are the team early on in possession of the ball here. Harry Kane dispossessed by Bonucci, of course. The 3 at the back for Juventus may prove troublesome. It's going to be tricky for us today, but I'm really hoping that we can break through and, test the Italian veteran defence, which this Juventus side have assembled in front of us. Anyway, it's Juventus on the attack early on here. Higuain going to lay it off to Lichtsteiner on the right-hand side, cutting inside the wing-back, hits the side netting. Didn't really have an option to put it back to, opted to go for the shot. Keeper had it covered though, but it was a bit of a half chance really for Juventus in the opening stages of the game, perhaps something that we do need to be wary of. Anyways, the game's progressing here. Juventus having a few shots but yet to hit the target. Similar story on our side of the fence, although we have had a few less shots. In terms of possession, it's fairly close. Pass completion very similar too. Really not a lot to split the sides at the early stages of this game. 22 minutes gone here, and again, we're not doing that much. Neither are Juventus, to be fair. It's not been a memorable game thus far. We're having a lot of shots from long range, so I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to ask the players just to work the ball into the box that little bit more, and hopefully they can kind of do that now. We're wasting a lot of long shots, and actually immediately here we are going to have a chance, perhaps. We are in possession of the ball. Eric Dyer here playing that ball-winning midfielder role for us. Out to Danny Rose. Eriksen also involved in the play. Nice little triangles emerging here. Can we now find a ball into the box where we have, of course, got the giant that is Harry Kane. Dele Alli. Well, he saw his name up in lights. He saw the long shot. Buffon tuts away at him, plucks the ball with relative ease from his feet. And, well, it remains 0-0 here after 40 minutes. But perhaps an early sign of hope. Perhaps an early glimmer of potential here for us. But, well, 42 minutes gone. There's been 2 shots on target. They've both gone our way. We've edged possession. Both teams with just the 1 half chance. But it's not really been good enough. As I said, in this game here, I mean, a win would be ideal, particularly given the fact we did draw against Porto. But a draw wouldn't be the end of the world, because I do feel like FC Porto should, and I say should because football doesn't necessarily work like this, but they should struggle against Juventus because they have a very, very good side. Either way, it's 0-0. No one really having a standout performance for us. Defensively, we've looked fairly good, to be honest. Alderweireld on a good rating, but elsewhere in the team, it's a little bit lacking, perhaps. And you can see Lamela here on a 6.6. I think we're going to take him off. We're going to mix things up. And actually, The change that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Berahino out wide and then play Musa Sissoko, I think, as a centre attacking mid for us here. You can see he's a fairly good player, is Musa Sissoko. He's got good dribbling, good first touch. His finishing isn't the greatest, but good composure, good off the ball. Pretty decent physicals all in all as well. And he likes to get into the opposition area, which is going to be important because we are going to need him in this role to surge on ahead and give kind of Harry Kane another option in the box to perhaps pass it to. Worth noting that for Juventus, they brought on Mandzukic in favour of Dybala, who really hasn't had a great day at the office. So both teams changing their attacking options early on. We have a set piece here. Eriksen back post. Sissoko heads it down to Kane, who hits the crossbar. What a goal that could have been. Sissoko, of course, on off the bench. Not necessarily the impact I expected him to have from a corner. But, well, Juventus dealt with it well. And, well, that's the closest we've come in what is only fair to say has not been a classic as far as matches go. Eriksen with a set piece here, deep. He does get the ball back. Can he run out wide and perhaps get the ball in? He can't. Lichtsteiner dispossesses him. Higuain perhaps going to be through Danilo. On a booking, got to be careful. But there, he did some very nice defensive work. And it's actually us with the ball again. Berahino, number 18 out on the right-hand side. Obviously filling in for Lamela. Started down the middle. Now he finds the ball at his feet again. It's now switched across to Eriksen. Danny Rose, options in the middle. Can he beat his man? He doesn't need to. Sissoko was there. It was a clear-cut chance, a great chance as well. And, well, the sub on off the bench, we wanted him to have an impact on the game. He had a chance to really change the course of that game. And, well, I think it's fair to say he hasn't quite done it there. I'm going to take off Dele Alli, who's on a booking for Thiago Maia. There's only 3 minutes left, so that change probably isn't going to have a too big of a bearing on the game. Harry Kane also not the greatest game, so we're going to bring in Janssen just for the last 3 minutes. Final roll of the dice. But to be honest, I'd be reasonably happy with a draw in this game. It's not been a classic at 0-0, but with 30 seconds left, unless there's a very late chance here as Danny Rose comes forward, it's probably going to be game over. Janssen back post heads it across. Buffon collects. I mean, you'd have to say that this game, we had a little bit of a slow start perhaps, but we have very much gone toe-to-toe with Juventus and perhaps deserve a little bit more than the 1 point we're going to come away with in this game. It's been a tight game, home advantage, of course, in our favour. But to be honest, Juventus, they've not really troubled us today. They had, a few half chances here and there. But no, that's been it. Unless they score now, please don't score now. I wouldn't have been happy if that had gone in. I thought I was speaking too soon. 20 seconds of extra time we've had here. Surely the whistle's got to go soon. It is going to go. Of course, this game at Wembley, not White Hart Lane. My mistake. If you don't know, Spurs playing in their Champions League games at Wembley this year. That was an okay result. I don't know why the players are so disheartened by that. Worth noting that FC Porto bottled it. They drew against Bate. Now, I don't want to underestimate Bate too much, because I'm sure they are a reasonable team, but kind of just flicking through their players. They're a team that we absolutely have to beat, and to be honest, them beating FC Porto really does do us a little favour, or not beating them, but it's taking a point away from them does do us a massive, massive favour in that regard. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up this episode from me, I do believe. It was an okay result against Juventus. Next time, we will be back, I believe, for a... What game do we want to do next time? I think it'll be the games against perhaps Manchester United and maybe Liverpool. I'm leaning more towards doing the Manchester United one because right now they are top of the table. Liverpool trailing though, so that may potentially be a double header. And then the following episode we have games against FC Porto and Arsenal. So a few very attractive prospects when it comes to matches there. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed today's episode, guys. If you did, smash the like button. If you've got any comments with regards to this series, feel free to leave them down in the comments. And other than that, thank you so much for watching as always. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.